Welcome to J is for Justice podcast. If live breaking news and following true crime is your thing, then please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like what you see in my videos, please consider giving them a thumbs up. Good morning. Good morning, lovelies. Welcome to J is for Justice. We are gathering this morning to get the latest on this shooting. This guy is still on the run. They didn't catch him. They didn't catch him overnight. He's still out there. Good morning, lovelies. Suzanne Vineyard. Woot up, Joel. Hey, Marie and Punani. We got Carlin, Washington, Karchi. One-Eyed Flo. Princess. Everybody, this is a go on live chat. What's up, Kendi? What's up, Quinny? Thanks for joining, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for coming in this morning. Maine man, you live by where it happened. Have you heard any like helicopters today or anything like that? It looks like they're checking in the woods for this guy. What's up? Tough Tiff. Good to see you. Sparkcraft and Miss Nightbot. Salt and Peppa's here. Good morning from foggy Colorado. Be careful out there. Did you guys see the pileup in Louisiana? Jilly Bear, thank you for being a lounger for 21 months. She says, here we go again. Fugitive on the run in the east. Yes, ma'am. Good morning, Miss Candy. Hello, Angie B. Ed Gain. Anna. No, so this happened in 3 locations. So as far as we know, a Walmart distribution center, a bowling alley, and a bar. So he hit a bowling alley on league night where there was kids there and stuff. And then he also hit a bar when they had cornhole tournament night. So he picked these soft targets. Kendi says, what pile up? What pile up? There was 150 vehicles, 159 vehicles piled up. They had to close down the freeway in Louisiana and everything. Yeah, it was horrible. People couldn't even get down from this bridge. Thank you for being here, Susan. Hello, Cheryl T. Hello, Roberta. We've got Roberta. We can officially begin because Roberta is here.
Roberta.
We don't have an exact number. We don't know how many fatalities or anything. It has been really quiet on the information front with this. It's been really quiet. Real beauty. Yesterday, I was first on site with a flipped truck in the woods with 3 teens. I hope everybody was okay. It's frightening. Let's see what's going on with the updates, though.
For the Maine law enforcement community, for first responders who are dealing with just something absolutely horrific. We've been, live checking in at Central Maine Medical Center all this morning, and, we were talking with one of our reporters, James, who said he's talked to first responders who are dealing with AR-15 wounds, and actually seeing that in person is something you can't prepare yourself for, no matter how much training that you've had, no matter how long you've been in the medical field. It's just something that's devastating.
Much of the investigation has centered in Lisbon. We do know that the car, the white Subaru, was located at a boat ramp in Lisbon, and we do know last night that there was a massive search in the woods of a farm in Lisbon, and we know this morning that we did see many police knocking on doors of a housing complex in the Lisbon area. So right now we want to hear from Lisbon police to tell us exactly what they have seen.
We've had everything from people calling about noises in the basement, noises in the woods, suspicious people, gunshots, all night long since the incident in Lewiston. We have our whole department working. I encourage everybody to call if they see something suspicious.
for anybody, and especially right now that investigation has.
All right. I'm going to tell you guys about this pileup. It was in Louisiana. I'm not crazy. I mean, I am a little crazy, but I wasn't wrong about this. So this is the pileup the other day. That's part of it. It was stretched out for a full mile. Okay. And this is what happened. 63 people were injured. The crash occurred on I-55 in St. John the Baptist Parish, just outside of New Orleans. The death toll is 8, and it involved at least 168 vehicles. And it was called super fog, a mix of wildfire smoke and fog, with visibility only as high as 10 feet. That's what they're saying. They have to clean up the road, then they have to test it again, and all that stuff. So here we are. We're getting ready for the press conference. Let's go live in the studio.
In this mass shooting that took place in Lewiston.
And certainly, as they've pointed out, they have not been giving us regular updates, not because they don't want to, but they just want to make sure that all the information they have is up to date. And of course,
he's not
if
in
there
Canada,
is no
guys.
Hardcore, solid evidence. Or new information, there is no reason for that.
I don't think that he's out of the country. I don't think he's far at all. I think that he is either deceased close by or hiding close by. I don't think he's gotten far. I really don't. That's my opinion. They're usually not far, guys. I mean, it doesn't sound like he had all this, gear to like hit the road or whatever. Like, he literally had his gun and his pants loaded with ammo, and that was it. So he's probably offed himself by now. I hate to say that, but it's probably most likely that he did. We're going to do a poll and see what you guys think. Do you think Robert Card didn't play his cards right, is alive still? Yes or no? Do you guys think Robert Card is still alive? Because I don't think he is. I don't think he took off. I don't think he went anywhere. It just doesn't sound like it. I haven't seen any family come forward. I haven't seen really any victims come forward, except for some lady and her child. Did you guys see that? I've got to show you. I've got to show you.
This conference
really fast. It's absolutely ridiculous. This lady, her child was grazed in the arm by a bullet. And the little kid is like on TV. Like the news was in their house. And like, it's just the most bizarre thing. It's like, dude, if that really happened, if they are legit telling the truth, why would you put your kid on the news?
Seeing a helicopter, unclear what agency that copter is from, but circling overhead, and we're right along the Androscoggin River here, which...
We'll go right back to it. Oh my gosh. If I can't find it right away, we'll scrap the idea, but it was a small clip, but it was just like, she couldn't have been more than 9,
But we also have a search that's ongoing. We know we do have a lot of activity. So you're taking a live look right now at one of our sky cams. We do have a lot of activity in the Monmouth area at this moment. And then we do have, a lot of closures, obviously, in the city of Lewiston. This is not live, apologize. This is recorded video.
They've been playing the same shit all night.
Street closures in Lewiston. So this is spread out. We do need a lot of people in order to cover this, to give you the most up-to-date information. And again, like you said, the eyes of the nation are on this.
And this particular video that you see right here is outside of the bowling alley.
I'm going to try to find that interview.
Investigation inside right now basically started this morning. The coroner inside identifying many of the victims, and of course, just getting as much and gathering as much evidence from the scene as they can.
Yeah, and we're getting ready now to start that press conference. It does look like people are approaching the podium. So
okay, here we go, guys.
Everybody, it looks like inside to be ready. So we will go live to that press conference.
I'll see you guys after the presser.
Like officials are about to head to the podium. Oh, I'm being told there might be a little bit of a delay, but again, you're taking a live look at this press conference that we were told is going to take place at 10:35. They're just setting up the last minute things, having the people who are going to be speaking come up to the area they need to be. And again, this is going to be run by Governor Janet Mills. We also expect to hear from the Lewiston Police Chief. We expect to hear from the Maine State Police, and we expect to hear from the FBI. Again, like we said, this is an investigation that's not just involving Maine police. There are hundreds of police officers and federal agents.
Still waiting. Slight delay. We're going to be beginning this in a few minutes. This is a perfect time to go get a fresh cup of coffee and hit that like button if you haven't already. Perfect timing. You've got a few minutes. Run, run, run. And hit that like button. Put your DNA all over it. Just go ahead and just smear your DNA all over it like Brian Koberger did his knife sheath button. And if he unalived himself in the woods, it's going to take them a while to find him because, you know, it was nighttime. They can't see through trees. We figured that out in all these different things we've followed. And now it's daylight. And they're probably going to get the dogs out or whatever. So get your votes in. Get your votes in. Do you still think this dude's alive right now? And it's just going to take a minute for them to catch him? Or do you think he is on the run? Karchi. Everything is closed there. Where would he have 4 rifles with him, though, if he doesn't have a car? They do, though, Dr. Malmo. He has PTSD. He's a Army vet who has PTSD. They most certainly do unalive themselves. They do. As a matter of fact, 3 guys that I went to high school with that joined the military and were in the Gulf War unalived themselves. Unfortunately.
And nor do we know why Robert Card, that particular bar to get into his car and drive to, which is right down the road. Is there anything specific, any reason that he targeted it other than that we knew?
And then later on today, so the first hearing in Brian Koberger is at 9:30 their time, so 12:30 Eastern. That is closed to the public. The second one will be in the afternoon. We'll get it later today, much later. So I will go live as soon as we get the Koberger hearing. I am in the media pool, so we'll get that feed as soon as it is released. They record it and then release it. The one this morning is closed because it is about the grand jury, the grand jurors, the testimony. Because remember,
Brian Koberger
is trying to get the indictment thrown out. That was for the grand jury indictment. So they're going to be talking about the grand jury, the witnesses, the testimony that was presented to the grand jury. So that is closed off to the public. No go. The second one, however, is open to the public and cameras are allowed in the courtroom. It's just not live. So I just want to clarify that. It's a recorded stream that we get later. And then we will go live and we'll watch it and discuss. There's no set time because we don't know how long the hearing's going to take. So when it's over, they upload the feed and then we get it. So if the hearing lasts an hour, we get it sooner. If it lasts 3 hours, we get it later. So in Canada, mental health patients can apply for euthanasia. What? Are you serious? I mean, not for mental health. I mean, what's the stipulation on that? I'm depressed. I want to be euthanized. There's got to be some kind of, that can't be right. You know, for all of you people that are saying this didn't happen, it's really a disgrace to victims to say that. Why isn't the poll working? It should be working fine. We have 183 votes. 62% of you think he's alive. 38% of you say no. Poll isn't open. All right, we'll redo the poll. Is Bob Card alive still? What's up, Robin Latham? Well, there you go. Try again. Yeah, I mean, to say this didn't happen is kind of ludicrous. Just because we're not seeing, you know, pictures of the victims and people being wheeled out. Have you noticed that, like, in Idaho, we didn't see the bodies being wheeled out? Oh, wait, here we are. Here we go.
Thank you for being here. As you may notice, my voice is a little hoarse after working through the night. As you all know, last night, locals, county, state, and federal law enforcement officers from around the state of Maine responded to reports of an active shooter at several locations in Lewiston, including Spare Time Recreation and Schmenge's Bar and Grill. These law enforcement officers, in the face of danger, responded swiftly, selflessly, and with great bravery. Bravery that they continue to demonstrate today as they search tirelessly for a person of interest in connection with last night's events. On behalf of all Maine people, I express my deep gratitude for your response and for your continued service. I also do so for Maine's hospitals and other medical emergency responders. I'm profoundly saddened to stand before you today to report that 18 people lost their lives and 13 people injured in last night's attacks. In memory of those we lost and in honor of those who were injured, President Biden and I have ordered all U.S. flags and state of Maine flags to be lowered to half-staff immediately for the next 5 days. Maine State Police have issued a shelter-in-place order for Lewiston, Lisbon, and Bowdoin as the manhunt for that person of interest, Robert Card of Bowdoin, continues. I will let law enforcement speak to the ongoing manhunt and to their investigation, but Mr. Card is considered armed and dangerous, and police advise that Maine people should not approach him under any circumstances. I continue to strongly urge Maine people to follow the direction of state and local law enforcement amid this ever-changing situation. Please, if you see anything suspicious, please call 911. There are still many things we don't yet know about these attacks, but the full weight of my administration is behind law enforcement's efforts to capture the person of interest, Robert Card, to hold whoever is responsible for this atrocity accountable under the full force of state and federal law, and to seek full justice for the victims and their families. We cannot and we will not rest in this endeavor. My administration is coordinating closely with local, regional, and federal officials to respond to this shooting. I have spoken twice with President Biden. I've spoken with Vice President Harris, Secretary of Homeland Security Mayorkas, and Secretary of Health and Human Services Becerra, all of whom have called me last night to express the Biden administration's full and unwavering support and to offer any and all help that we, the people of Maine, might require. The governors of our neighboring New England states and of other states have contacted me to offer aid, and I am sincerely grateful for their friendship and support. We've been in touch with every member of the Maine congressional delegation, all of whom have offered their full support, for which I am also grateful. I also spoke with Mayor Carl Chalene and Auburn Mayor Jason Levesque last night to reiterate that we are standing by them and that we are ready to provide any help people in these communities need and to deploy all available state resources, including grief counselors and other mental health services. We need to help our communities heal. If you or a person you love needs someone to talk to during this difficult time, please call or text 988 for free and confidential counseling. 988. Look, Lewiston is a special place. It's a close-knit community with a long history of hard work, of persistence, of faith, of opening its big heart to people everywhere. Lewiston is where I worked for years. It's where I met and married my husband and where our girls went to school. I love this place just as I love our whole state with my entire heart. I'm so deeply saddened, as is every one of the 1.3 million people of this beautiful state. This city did not deserve this terrible assault on its citizens, on its peace of mind, on its sense of security. No city does, no state, no people. No words can truly or fully measure the grief of Maine people today. Our small state of just 1.3 million people has long been known as one of the safest states in the nation. This attack strikes at the very heart of who we are and the values we hold dear for this precious place we call home. All Maine people are sharing in the sorrow of the families who lost loved ones last night. Loved ones, normal people who were killed or injured while unwinding from a day of work or while spending time with their family and friends, socializing. So on behalf of the 1.3 million people of the whole state of Maine, I hold these families and this city in my heart today. I know that the people of Lewiston are enduring immeasurable pain. I wish I could take that pain off your hearts, off your shoulders, but I promise you this, we will all help you carry that grief. I ask Maine people to join me in offering our comfort to the families and friends who have lost someone, and in offering our prayers for swift recovery for those who are healing in Maine's hospitals today. This is a dark day for Maine. I know it's hard for us to think about healing when our hearts are broken. But I want every person in Maine to know that we will heal together. We are strong, we are resilient, we are a very caring people. In the days and weeks ahead, we will need to lean on those qualities more than ever before. As we move forward, struggling as we may, let us wrap our arms around one another, offer comfort and solace and love. I know the Maine State Police will continue to release information to the public as we confirm it, and information about any steps that the public might take to support the people of Lewiston at this time. May God bless the people of Lewiston and bless the memories of those we have lost.
Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Sawchuk.
Thank you very much, Governor. We certainly appreciate your support. The City of Lewiston does, the state of Maine, and certainly our first responders. We feel that love every day, and thank you very much for that. I would also say that we want to say thank you to really a large number of other elected officials across our state, whether that's the federal delegation, local elected officials, and many others that are part of organizations or law enforcement agencies that truly wanted to join us today at this particular press event and wanted to speak on behalf of their communities. And as the governor had mentioned, and everybody else will reiterate, our reality for today is that this suspect is still at large. And we want to provide community support for the victims, for the families, and the communities across the state. But we also have an incredibly strong laser-like focus on bringing this suspect into custody and ultimately to justice. So because of that mission for this particular event and today's activities, we're keeping the list of speakers and the agenda pretty tight. And that will include next up at the podium would be Chief Dave St. Pierre from the city of Lewiston, and some other members of his command staff are present. What I will say to the city of Lewiston, and you know this because you feel it every day, but you're lucky to have a chief like Chief St. Pierre and his entire law enforcement agency. From every level, those officers put their heart and their soul on the line on behalf of their community last night and into today. And they're doing it for the right reasons. They do it because they care. So the city of Lewiston and truly our co-responder family across the state of Maine is lucky to have Dave and his team in the mix with us. And we're also going to hear from Colonel William Ross from the Maine State Police. And Bill will highlight some of the timeline things that you're probably concerned about and certainly interested in from a story perspective. So the Colonel will come up and speak to that. And we'll also have Jody Cohen. And Jody is the special agent in charge for the FBI out of the Boston field office. And Jody will highlight some of those federal partnerships and some of the things that our federal partners are bringing to the table, bringing to bear to help us with this investigation. We also have a bunch of people here. Once you start naming people, you're going to have a problem because you're going to forget somebody or screw something up. But I would also tell you that a couple of our other federal partners are here. Kevin Neal, who is the U.S. Marshal for the District of Maine. We also have James Ferguson, and Jim is the special agent in charge from the ATF for the Boston Field Division. They are heavily invested with staff along with the FBI, and we can't thank them enough for all that they're doing on behalf of our state. I would also tell you that we are going to close with a brief Q&A, and we're going to try to get some of those questions out there. We appreciate your time, your patience, your professionalism, your partnership at getting this information out. I would think that those questions are going to be brief because, again, we do have a suspect at large, and while you can help us with that, we also need to get back to our teams to push forward on that. So with that in mind, I will be back up to the podium to kind of steer that a little bit. But for starters, I would like Chief St. Pierre to join us.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Sawchuk, and welcome media partners, and thank you, Governor Mills, for those kind words. I'm going to keep this short. What I would like the very most is to express our deepest sympathies to the families and friends of the victims of this heinous crime. This is truly a tragedy that goes beyond comprehension. I'm confident in our community that our community has and will continue to come together throughout this endeavor to bring this to a successful conclusion. Although difficult, I do ask the public to continue to be mindful of their own personal safety and also that they be patient with the process as much as possible. There is extensive work and attention to detail that goes into such a large-scale investigation. I'm confident in the expertise and professionalism of our investigators and all law enforcement officials that are currently involved. This is an all-hands-on-deck approach. We have a great deal of collaboration and resources that have been made available to us. There are far too many to name individually, but I think Director Sawchuk named quite a few appropriately. There are far too many, as I stated, but they are all appreciated more than you know. I want to thank all of our brave men and women of the Lewiston Police Department, Fire Department staff, medical personnel, first responders of any kind that came from far and wide and have come together and continue to work tirelessly in bringing the situation to an end. We hope to locate and hold the person accountable. I think you'll hear next from the state police, who is taking the lead in this investigation. Although that we are working hand in hand with them, I think Colonel Ross will be able to fill you in on a little bit more.
Thank you, Chief. First and foremost, this is an ongoing homicide investigation and search for the person that is responsible for it. We're in the early stages of this investigation, and I just want to let you know we will have updates. We'll be putting some type of a schedule out later on. But again, early stages of a homicide investigation, we want to be careful that we're doing things correctly. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves. I'm going to give you a bit of a timeline here to kind of fill in some of the blanks and give you some of the facts as we know them right now. A lot of this information will then be transferred to the Attorney General's office, as they will be the lead prosecutor, again, in any homicide investigation. Last night, October 25th at approximately 6:56 p.m., the Auburn Communications Center received a 911 call of a male shooting in just-in-time, or the spare time recreation center in the town of Lewiston, located at 24 Mollison Way in Lewiston. Shortly after that, at about 7:08 p.m., the communications center received multiple 911 calls about an active shooter inside of a Schmenge's Billiards at 553 Lincoln Street in the town of Lewiston. A large law enforcement response from multiple surrounding agencies assisted the Lewiston Police Department in trying to identify who this individual was and what was happening. As you can imagine, this was a very fast-paced, fast-moving, very fluid scene, very dangerous scene that these guys and girls were going into. 18 people are now deceased at this time. The victims at the just-in-time establishment, 7 people are deceased there, 1 female and 6 males, all from an apparent gunshot wound. Victims at the Schmegley's Billiards, 8 are deceased. 7 males inside the establishment, 1 male outside of the establishment. Again, also apparent gunshot wounds. Multiple people were transferred to area hospitals, Central Maine Medical Center, St. Mary's, and Maine Medical Center. 3 people that were transferred to those hospitals are deceased, for a total of 18 people deceased at this time. The investigation into the person responsible for this identified a vehicle located at the Przebscott boat landing in Lisbon. That person, through the registration of that vehicle, was identified, it's been stated earlier, as a Robert Card, born in 1983. Several of the deceased have been identified, and their families, next of kin, have been notified. Approximately 8 people at this point have been identified. 10 people, 10 of these victims, still need to be identified at this time. Currently, there is an arrest warrant for 8 counts of murder for Mr. Card. And the reason it's 8 counts because 10 people have not yet been identified. As those people are identified, the counts will probably go to the total of 18. He should be considered armed and dangerous. Based on our investigation, we believe this is someone that should not be approached. This is someone that should be, if you come into any contact with this individual or someone that you think looks like this individual, you were to call 911, and I'll provide some tip line numbers at the conclusion of my briefing. Lewiston Police Department, federal, state, county, and other local municipalities are involved in a coordinated search at this moment for this individual. So there's the ongoing investigation, and there's a search to apprehend this person. Both happen simultaneously. I can't stress this enough. This is an ongoing investigation in the early stages. More information will come out. in conjunction with the Attorney General's office as the lead prosecutor. We can't share all of our information right now, and I'm sure you understand that. I'm going to give out 2 numbers that go to a tip line. 911 is also appropriate for this, but if anyone can call these 2 numbers, this would go to the State Police tip line. Area code 207-213-9526, 207-509-9002. And we'll be sending something out later that has that information in it if you weren't able to grab that now. Again, this is a very fluid situation. We have a lot of resources, as Chief St. Pierre had mentioned earlier, that are on the ground in a coordinated effort to apprehend this individual. We've notified the Department of Education, and they have determined what they're going to do with the schools. A lot of schools, area schools, were shut down today based on our conversation with them. Again, as more information comes in, we'll be providing it to you. Thank you for your time. This is a very difficult time for, I think, the community of Lewiston, difficult time for obviously the victims' families, and it's a tough time for law enforcement. It was a rough night last night, but we're committed to bringing whoever's responsible to justice. And again, we are currently looking for Mr. Card right now, someone that we'd like to apprehend. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel. And FBI Special Agent in Charge, Cohen, if you could join me, please.
Thank you. My name is Jody Cohen. I'm the Special Agent in Charge of FBI Boston Division, which covers the state of Maine. Our hearts go out to everyone who is impacted as a result of this senseless violence. The FBI is working hand in hand with our law enforcement partners. Our evidence response team is here processing these very extensive scenes. We are providing investigative and tactical support, as well as our victim specialists are working with those affected by this tragedy. As this very active investigation continues to unfold, we're asking the public to stay vigilant and come forward with any information that you might have that you feel is helpful to our investigators. My pledge is that the FBI will carry out this investigative case with rigor. We will work day and night alongside our law enforcement partners to get the answers to the questions this community deserves. We thank the public for your continued cooperation and patience as we continue to work this very active investigation. Thank you.
Appreciate that. And I would say that the reality here from a resource standpoint is that when we've asked for anything, the answer has been yes, period. Tactical teams, evidence response teams, full-blown investigative units, detective units that have come from multiple states, whether it's the commissioners from Vermont and New Hampshire reaching out to me directly, Massachusetts saying, what do you need, Mike? What can we do for the state of Maine? So we are now prepared to try to take a few questions and keep in mind again that we may not be able to answer as in-depth as you would like, and we don't plan on taking a great deal of questions. I think follow-up press events will allow for that. Sir?
So no one has really talked about the weapon that was used here, the AR-15 style, so hope someone can talk about that. But the other thing here is there are reports that this individual had mental health issues, that he made threats to shoot up the National Guard. So clearly there were some signs there that he was on someone's radar. The question becomes, why was he in possession of this weapon? And certainly, why wasn't he stopped sooner?
Yeah, I think those are all valid questions, and certainly questions that we are looking into now, but not questions that we can answer today. Considering that this occurred last night, there's still an active search for the suspect in question. So I appreciate those questions, but not something we're going to be able to answer right now.
Is it something that you're investigating and looking into?
It is certainly one of those things that we want to follow up on, all aspects of that.
Why does the
Go ahead, right here. Yes.
Can you give us a sense of the ages of who has died? How many are under 18 and how many are over 18?
I'm not sure we have that information with us today. We wanted to break it down by gender because that's something we had readily available. We did not break this down into age ranges at all.
Sir, what can you tell us? What can you tell us about the background of the suspect in this case, or I should say the person of interest, because I noticed the language is very clear. You're saying person of interest, not suspect. So why use that terminology, and what can you tell us about his background?
Yeah, I think we used person of interest last night for half of the room that was here for that press event. As the Colonel had mentioned, there is now arrest warrants for murder for this particular individual, Mr. Card. So he is viewed as a suspect, and there is a full court press by all of our partners to bring him into custody. What was the second piece of that question?
What can you tell us about his background? Simone had asked a second ago about the idea that he had voiced concerns about his own mental health, right? Had been committed, according to language in a police bulletin, to a mental health facility for weeks. How could someone that fits that profile still be in possession of semi-automatic weapons?
Well, I do think that the statutes around firearms and the possession of those are pretty complex. I know that we will be reviewing that information as we move forward, but that's not an answer that we're prepared to give today. Because that leads to motive. You're talking about behavioral health issues and how that impacts this situation. I would expect you'll hear back from us on that in the future. Right here, sir.
Yeah, I've got a question about, we've seen helicopters as far north as Monmouth. Can you tell us anything about what's leading you that far north of the scene where you found the car?
Yeah, sure. So we have law enforcement assets that are deployed over a number of communities doing follow-ups on a number of different things. So as you can imagine, there's a great deal of search warrants that we're following up on. We do have partners, that helicopters from the New Hampshire State Police. That copter was here last night to assist us as well. So whether we have tactical elements out or we're searching an area, some of those air assets would be very, very valuable for us. So that's what they're doing.
That's leading you there?
We're not going to speak to what brings us to a specific community one way or the other. Yes, right here.
Identifying the unidentified victims, what are people encouraged to do? Is there DNA being tested from family members who may have missing loved ones? Like what's that approach right now?
Yeah, so we did have a family a reunification center open last night. We do have behavioral health liaisons that are fully engaged to work with families and work with loved ones. And work with victims, for that matter, that may be in the hospital and seeking treatment. So those things are actively occurring. We are dealing with each one of those situations separately. So do we need DNA on that? Are we just waiting to find a loved one, some kind of family member that we can make a notification? I think that varies across the board. I'm going to take two more questions. Right here.
Yes, was there some sort of triggering event? Is that something that you're investigating?
I think we're always concerned around motive. That you say triggering event, that's a motive for us. Again, that's not something we're prepared to discuss today, but I do appreciate the question. It's clearly something that's important. One additional follow-up from you.
Can you help us understand why these locations, why this bar, why this bowling alley? Was he looking for someone? Was he looking for something?
I think that does speak to motive, so I appreciate the follow-up, but not something we're going to be prepared to answer today. I'm going to have one more question right here. Right here.
Can you say, is Card, first off, to clarify, were the arrest warrants issued today? And can you say if Card is still in the state or even still alive?
Well, we're actively searching for him. If I knew the answers to those questions, and this would be a different press conference, I would assume. So we don't know his location, and I'll leave it at that. And we are working with the Attorney General's office reference to those investigations. So with that in mind, we're done taking questions for now. So we are going to actually take off at this point. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate that.
Have there been any credible sightings?
We've not really gotten many answers.
Oh, well, you are hearing from the governor, from state police, and from Lewiston police with the most up-to-date information that they have on the search for murder suspect Robert Card. He is still at large. The last thing you really heard state police say, Mike Sawchuk say, is that they don't know where he is. They do not know his location.
And again, the terminology has changed. He has gone from a person of interest to now a suspect who, at this point, is charged with 8 murders.
18
people are dead, but at this point, he's charged with 8 murders because 10 people. I need the
Yeah, I'm going to take over just for a second. Where obviously this is a fluid situation, and it's a moving situation for us because we've had people in and out. You just heard from that press conference again. We're bringing up the photo of Robert Card, who is now considered a murder suspect, as Steve was saying. We have updated information on the victims in this homicide investigation, what is now being called a homicide investigation. 18 people are dead, 13 were injured. We actually have the details on the gender of those who were involved and where those killings took place. We're hearing from Maine State Police that 7 people were killed at the bowling alley spare time, or just in time, as it's being called. It was 1 female and 6 males. We're also hearing that 8 people were killed inside Schmangy's billiards hall, 7 men outside and 1 man inside, and then 3 people died in transit to the hospital. Police have ID'd 8 people. 10 people still need identification. The next of kin has been contacted in those 8 people that have been ID'd. We were not given any information on the ages of the people who were killed. State Police did not want to release that at the time, nor have we been given any information on the motive of murder suspect Robert Card. State Police saying they did not want to release that at this time.
Yes, State Police said at this point they do not want to say if there is any connection between the bowling alley and the bar as to why he chose those 2 specific locations. They also would not talk about the mental health issues that we have talked about.
I'll be right back, guys.
Night, that we have known that he had some mental health issues. They did not want to touch on that. And of course, when he was asked about why somebody with known mental health issues was allowed to have an assault rifle, he did not want to talk about that as well. But again, charged right now with 8 murders, and he is considered now a suspect who is armed and dangerous, and 13 people injured also along with the 18, and certainly we are keeping our fingers praying for those 13 injured who continue to recover right now.
Yeah, and a lot of officials reacting to that press conference that you just heard. We do have some statements from Portland officials. This is from Danielle West. She is the city manager. She says, "We stand with you and we're here for you. We have City of Portland employees who live in Lewiston, who call Lewiston their hometown or have loved ones who live there. I'm so keenly aware of how this is affecting them." And yeah, I mean, Steve, we've been talking about the ripple effect that this is having. Maine is a small, tight-knit community. This mass shooting taking place in Lewiston, but really being felt by all others, and everybody coming together after news of hearing about more details about these victims. Again, 18 people killed, 13 people injured.
And this is a statement from Portland's Mayor Kate Snyder. Portland City Council and I are stunned by this horrific mass shooting, and we stand in solidarity with the Lewiston community and all Mainers as we are left to once again process a senseless tragedy and its horrid impact.
Yeah, again, going back to that press conference, we heard from Public Safety Commissioner Mike Shostak, and he said basically that all resources that they've needed, they've been given at this time, because we do have a suspect, a murder suspect still at large. That is Robert Card. He is 40 of Bowdoin, and they don't know where he is. When asked if he's in the state of Maine, they just said, "We don't know where he is." So they're not giving any details of his location. But again, we know there have been heavy police presence in Monmouth this morning. There's been police presence in Lisbon. We're continuing to search.
And here's more information on Robert Card. He is 40 years old. The Army has confirmed that he is an Army reservist. He's been there since 2002. His job is that of a petroleum supply specialist, but he has never had any combat deployments. Still, we also know that he is a gun instructor, so we do have to assume that he knows how to use that rifle that we saw him with last night.
Yeah, and again, I just want to go back to the newest details that we're hearing from this press conference. Again, you know, we've been talking about the victims all morning. We did not get any identifications on the victims specifically, but we do know that 8 people have been ID'd. Their next of kins have been reached out to. 10 people still need identification, and a total of 18 people are dead. 7 of them killed at the bowling alley, 8 of them killed at the billiards hall, and then 3 people dying in transit to the hospital. And again, like you said, 13 people laying injured right now in the hospital, recovering from those wounds, and we do not know their ages, but we do know that there are 13 people recovering at this time.
We want to show you some video now from Washington, D.C. The flags at half-staff over the White House. Governor Mills says that she has talked with President Biden twice and that the flags here in both Maine and across the country will remain at half-staff for 5 days in honor of the victims who died. And again, that was 18 people dead in last night's shooting. The flags lowered to half-staff, both the United States and the Maine flag, of course.
Yeah. I mean, just an absolute tragedy, and you can see here that flags lowering happening. Again, just want to say that the state police would not discuss a motive, because we've been talking all morning about why did this happen at a bowling alley? Why did this happen at a billiards hall in Lewiston? When we know, Robert Card is the murder suspect. He's from Bowdoin. Why were these places targeted? Police would not touch motive.
No, and he is from the area, so he does probably know the area, and that could very well be one of the reasons why we have not been able to find him, or police have not been able to locate him yet, because he may very well know the woods and the route that may get him to wherever he needs to go. But again, his car, that car that was talked about last night, the white Subaru, it was located at a boat ramp in Lisbon. So we have to probably assume that he is on foot, if not that he has been picked up by a friend or somebody, but that certainly is something that has not even been talked about.
And that press conference just wrapping up again, the police saying that they will give updates as they have them throughout the day. We did not hear when a next scheduled update will be, but as updates come, they will be giving them. Again, searching for a suspect that they do not know his location, but we have crews that have been out witnessing a heavy police presence in Monmouth right now. And again, lockdowns still in place in Lewiston, in Lisbon. Shelter-in-place orders still in place in Lewiston, in Lisbon, and in Bowdoin at this time.
And as we have talked about in other situations where we have covered a manhunt, the police often don't want to say too much that's going to be on the television, because as far as they know, Robert Card could be inside some house with the opportunity to watch TV and follow the information of what's happening. So police do not want to play their hand at what some of their tactics may be in trying to find them. Jim Keithley was just at that news conference, which included the governor and so many police officers. He joins us now. Jim.
That's right, Steve. And the one question that we really wanted to ask and get answered was this suspect here. What, if any, connection have authorities learned, again, the bar in the bowling alley? What is his connection? Why were they targeted? Again, that was the main thing that we wanted answered, and the authorities, of course, don't want to go there because that's revealing too much information as for possible motive. But I can tell you, when the governor stood up there in her hoarse voice, she said she's been up all night, and basically saying that a dark day in Maine, you probably already said that, but I was struck by when she said we must hold the person responsible for this atrocity accountable. I mean, you could bet that all of these authorities, we understand over 100 authorities from all over New England, state, federal, and local authorities are searching for this suspect, and they are referring him now to a suspect, as you probably have mentioned too, now that these homicide charges, murder charges have been lodged against him. But I was also struck by some other words the governor mentioned. This city didn't deserve this, but a lot of people have said we've watched this from afar. We've seen this in other communities all across the country, and other people have said it was a matter of time, and this is our time, and now we're dealing with this, atrocity, as the governor had said. I did want to mention too, we learned a lot of information from Colonel William Ross. He's with the Maine State Police, telling us about the number of victims, the male and female, the 7 victims at the bowling alley and 8 victims at the bar, 1 female at the bowling alley, 6 male at the bowling alley, 1 male outside the bar, 7 inside. So they mentioned 8 have been identified, but 10 have not. So that means that they are still in the process of trying to identify so they can, get word to the next of kin, which is obviously a terrible thing that they have to deal with right now. not to mention the manhunt that's underway. But again, the unanswered question is, what possible connection, what was the motive, what connection to the bar and the bowling alley, if there was one? These questions will continue to be asked, and who knows, we might get some answers later, we may not. But that's the situation outside City Hall. I'm going to go back in because there was a lot of other interesting things that we might be able to bring you later, including we might be speaking to one of the trauma surgeons that works at Central Maine Medical Center who treated some of these victims. Let's not forget there was a number of victims here that were rushed to the hospital. We understand 3 people actually died either on the way or confirmed dead at the hospital. So there's a lot here going on in the city of Lewiston. So we'll send it back to you and we'll get some more information and report back later.
All right, Jim Keithley, thank you so much for reporting live in Lewiston, just attending that press conference where he gave details. And I know Governor Janet Mills, who led that press conference, did talk about the state standing together at this time. She referred to this specifically as a dark day for Maine, but basically said, we will heal together, which I think is an important message to spread today, especially in light of all this darkness. And I know that this is taking a toll on Mainers as they're listening to all this news, as they're getting details, specific details about the people who have died. So we just want to remind you to check in with your loved ones, support each other on a day like today where we're hearing just devastating news out of Maine. You can always reach out for mental health help, as the governor said, by texting or calling 988. Right. We're going to just bring up this resource number for you right now. If you do need to talk to somebody, and again, you know, it can be somebody at 988, it can be your family, it can be your friends. Reach out today and hug your loved ones.
And of course, you can also call. There's another number on the at 1-800 as well. Now, we have a couple of tip lines that they gave us. This is in case you know anything about Robert Card, you suspect that you have seen him. I mean, bottom line, if you don't have this number next to you, call 911. I mean, just pick up the phone, call 911. But have these numbers next to you and ready if so. 213-9526. and 509-9002, both of them area code 207. Any tips about Robert Card? Any tips if you think you may have seen him? And you know what? Call. Even if it turns out to be not correct, better call than not.
You never know. Police are oftentimes looking for details that we're not sure of and you're not sure of. So if you think you have any critical information on this manhunt, please call in. Again, police calling Robert Card a murder suspect at this time. As Steve said, he's been charged with 8 counts of murder. There are still 10 people who were killed that have not been identified. So please call the tip line if you have any information about Robert Card or his whereabouts. He is still at large. Police saying they do not know where he is. They do not know. So again, we've been talking about, you know, presence that we've seen in Maine communities right now, police presence, but they don't know where he is. He could be anywhere. Now, and our last update, we saw that there was a heavy police presence on a rural road in Monmouth. We also know there's been a lot of police activity earlier this morning in Lisbon. So perhaps if for some reason he's making his way outside of town, perhaps there is some sort of line to draw, but at this point, as we said, they do not know where he is. Yeah, and police also talking a little bit about confirming that his military history. We had heard from ABC News and the Army confirming that Robert Card is an Army reservist. He has been a reservist since 2002. He is a petroleum supply specialist. He has no combat deployments, but he is a decorated veteran. His awards include the Army Achievement Medal, the Humanitarian Service Medal, among others. So this is somebody who has handled weapons before. We said previously, it's been released that sources say he's a firearms instructor. And we have also heard from sources that he has mental health issues, has dealt with mental health issues in the past, and has stayed in mental health facilities. Again, this is what we've learned learned so far about the suspect at large, Robert Card. He does have a history of military service, as we just said. He has a history of mental health issues. Sources say he checked into a mental health facility after hearing voices, and that he had also threatened to shoot up the National Guard Reserve Station in Saco previously, prior to this. So again, still trying to paint a picture of who this murder suspect is as police actively look for him throughout the state.
And even though there is that history of mental health issues, police would not talk about exactly how that is playing into the investigation, nor would they speculate on why, if he does have these health issues, why exactly he was able to get his hands on an assault rifle. We know that there are 13 people that were injured, and presumably many of them remain in the hospital. Let's go to Kate McClusker, who's also outside the hospital, and see what she can tell us. Kate.
I'm outside of Central Maine Medical Center in Lewiston, and there is still a police presence here as the manhunt for Robert Card continues. Now, after that press conference a few moments ago, he is now a murder suspect, and there was confirmed 18 people have died and 13 are injured. Now, only 8 of those people, that died from the shooting have been identified. Now, 10 of them still have not been identified, so families are still waiting to hear that news. And now we spoke to Leroy Walker, who is a city councilor from Auburn, and he said he's still waiting for information on his son, who's working at the bar last night where the shooting took place. And he described to us how he felt when he learned about the shooting.
When you get anything that happens like this, you go empty. And there's just nothing you can do. Your gut goes like a monster inside of you, and of course your head feels like it's gonna blow off.
Devastating for those 10 victims that are still waiting for the confirmation. We're live in Lewiston. I'm Kate McCusker for Maine's Total Coverage.
Thank you so much, Kate. It's just hard to listen to.
Yeah, and as of those 18 that we know that have died, they still have not identified any of the victims. And I tell you, we are seeing many posts on social media, and if folks are reading those and watching us and wondering, look, I'm seeing this on social media, why aren't you reporting it? It's basically until we get confirmation from the police. That is the information that we are reporting.
Yeah, and we have heard from police that they are still waiting to identify 10 people, and they're still waiting to notify the loved ones of those 10 people as well, too. So this is an ongoing investigation and an ongoing process for state police. You're taking a live look right now at a flag lowered to half-mast.
Okay, so we are going to switch gears here after that press conference that we didn't really get a whole lot of information on. All the questions that I had, weren't even touched, but this is someone who knew to stay away from Robert Card, he says. I want to thank whoever, I can't remember who it was who brought this to our attention, but this is an interview with Liam Kent. Okay. His name is Liam Kent. He is familiar with Robert Card and said that Card and his family are, quote, gun fanatics. He also went on to claim that people around town knew to stay away from the family. Let's take a listen to this, courtesy of NBC News. Is it going to play? We got to get that ad in there.
Robert Card and his family. Can you tell us anything you know about the person of interest in these shootings?
Well, I grew up about half a mile away. Bowdoin is a very interesting community. There's kind of like a center hub near the school and the town store, excuse me. And then you have like West Bowdoin, but they all interconnect around the school and the town store, and I just happen to live near there. And the family complex, it's basically a compound there. The family and Robert, they're all gun fanatics. They are, they, for all intents and purposes, are very much associated with right-wing militias. It's known in the town to stay away from them and to not approach them. If you see them, you just turn around and walk away. I remember going to the town store when I was a kid, about, around 12, 14. And I remember very vividly, it's just been the image that's been kind of going around in my head, is I'm going to the store and there's a way station there for deer. So he had just killed a deer with his buddies, and the deer was hanging and blood was dripping on the ground from the deer, and he was covered in blood with a gun on his back with a giant grin on his face. And they were all smoking cigarettes and drinking their morning coffee and like praising each other. And also they would shoot guns all the time. Like you could hear them every day after school. It was like clockwork. You could hear them shooting guns, and the sound would ricochet off the valley. I could even hear it at elementary school. At times you could hear them shooting guns.
Liam, real quickly here, we only have a few seconds, but this is a close-knit community. Do you have friends who you know were injured last night?
I didn't realize the video wasn't working.
Yes, there are some friends of mine that have been injured. I know there was a baby that was killed at the bowling alley. It was a children's bowling night.
A baby? Do you guys believe this guy?
So I do know that happened. I'm not going to give any information out until the police officially release the names. But there's going to be a lot of heartache and tragedy that comes from this.
Well, Liam, can't we appreciate you taking some time? Continue to stay
let's
safe.
Watch this again.
Grew up near Robert Card and his family. Can you tell us anything you know about the person of interest in these shootings?
Well, I grew up about half a mile away. Bowdoin is a very interesting community. There's kind of like a center hub near the school and the town store, excuse me. And then you have like West Bowdoin, but they all interconnect around the school and the town store. And I just happen to live near there. And the family complex, it's basically a compound. The family and Robert, they're all gun fanatics. They are, for all intents and purposes, are very much associated with right-wing militias. It's known in the town to stay away from them and to not approach them. If you see them, you just turn around and walk away. I remember going to the town store when I was a kid, about, around 12, 14. And I remember very vividly, it's just been the image that's been kind of going around in my head, is I'm going to the store and there's a way station there for deer. So he had just killed a deer with his buddies, and the deer was hanging and blood was dripping on the ground from the deer, and he was covered in blood with a gun on his back with a giant grin on his face. And they were all smoking cigarettes and drinking their morning coffee and like praising each other. And also they would shoot guns all the time. Like you could hear them every day after school. It was like clockwork. You could hear them shooting guns, and the sound would ricochet off the valley. I could even hear it at elementary school. At times you could hear them shooting guns.
Liam, real quickly here, we only have a few seconds, but this is a close-knit community. Do you have friends who you know were injured last night?
Yes, there are some friends of mine that have been injured. I know there was a baby that was killed at the bowling alley. It was a children's bowling night. So I do know that happened. I'm not going to give any information out until the police officially release the names. But there's going to be a lot of heartache and tragedy that comes from this.
Well, Liam, can't we appreciate you taking some time? Continue to stay safe, and we'll make sure to check back in with you, okay?
Okay, so somebody asked, why do you think he's not telling the truth? Well, I don't know who this guy is. I mean, this is just a rando on NBC, but I'm saying because he said a baby, a baby passed. A baby? I mean, we have 10 unidentified victims. Yeah, what did he say about it? It's very strange. But he may not want to give away too much info, but why is he talking then?
Quickly here, we only have a few seconds, but this is a close-knit community. Do you have friends who you know were injured last night?
Yes, there are some friends of mine that have been injured. I know there was a baby that was killed at the bowling alley. It was a children's
There was some of my
bowling
friends
night.
and then a baby.
So I do know that that happened. I'm not going to give any information out until the police officially release the names. But it's going to there's going to be a lot of heartache and tragedy that comes from this.
Well, Liam, Kent, we appreciate you taking some
Very
time.
much.
Continue to stay safe, and we'll make sure to check back in with you, okay?
You know, it's always the ones that come out initially that are always kind of make you wonder, like, what? They did not say that 17 of the victims were male. I will give you the latest up. This is what we learned. This is basically the important stuff that we learned. It would be, hold on. So we have 8 victims at the bowling alley. But we have 10 unidentified victims. Those 10 victims could be children. It could be a baby. And maybe he does have people involved and he's in shock. You don't know. I mean, you never know. They said 7 males and 1 female at the bowling alley. They didn't say any ages, though. They never said any ages of any of the victims. Yes, Sal Paradise. We will find out eventually if a baby was one of the victims. Then he's credible. What happened? What time did the shooting happen at the bowling alley? They didn't give us a timeline. I know so many right-wing militia deer killers who smoke and drink coffee in Michigan. How about 99% of the men in Michigan? 90% of the men in Michigan he just described. Why not share the ages? Because they are kids? I don't know. Could they all be kids? Well, no, because there's 8 at the bar. If you're at a bar playing cornhole, I don't think there'd be a baby there. There might be a baby at the bowling alley in the evening. $6:15-ish. So you could still have your baby at the kids' bowling thing on an evening night. His pockets looked full. But there was 8 at the bar, right? 7 or 8 at the bar. And that's where that guy was from that was crying, that older man. Wyoming Adventures says Wyoming is full of hunters. They don't act like what that guy said. Well, they do in Michigan. I'm here to tell you. 90% of the men in Michigan wear camo. They're conservatives. They hunt. Kimberly Joe says, I'm originally from Maine. Even my liberal Democrat cousins own guns and hunt. Can you imagine being at the bar for a cornhole tournament and this happens? No, I can't. I can't. But maybe they were known around town. If it was a small town, in their neighborhood, everybody, he lived in the boonies. So it had to be like kind of an outskirts type of town. And every time there's a shooting and every time something happens with a gun, the media always has the same message. Gun control, gun control, gun control. It doesn't mean they plan these things so they can talk about it. Trust me. There's enough crazy people in America that do these shootings to give the media plenty of content. They don't need to make up shootings to spew narratives and things like that. I think there's enough people doing bad shit where they give them this content to be able to, talk about gun control and things like that. He was a firearms instructor, yeah. Arnie Slab, well, they're probably that too. The motive could be something to do with socializing and having fun. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, was he on one of those leagues? Did he have a falling out with people? Was he targeting? I mean, it could be anything. It really could be anything. Could an ex have been at the bowling alley? I mean, we can sit here and speculate all day what the motive is. We know nothing about these people. This guy, nothing other than what this guy just told us. Other than what Justice for All just told us. That's all we know. That's all we know. Was he on drugs? Right. Was he put on medication and didn't take it? He was hearing, okay, so cornhole is like a game. But what if let's say he was in the hospital for the 2 weeks and he was diagnosed with schizophrenia or bipolar or something, some kind of illness he was being treated for. Let's say he wasn't taking his meds. What if he was in the hospital, got on new meds, felt better, stopped taking them? Happens all the time. It happens all the time. They start to feel better. They stop taking the meds. I mean, we can't be quick to say that the mental health facility failed him. We just can't. I mean, he threatened to shoot up, I think, his reserves base, and he went in the mental institution for 2 weeks. Yeah, it's the beanbag game. Or Pebbles, they start taking them and then they don't like the way they feel. Because 2 weeks is not long enough to get adjusted to a medication. Especially if it's a new diagnosis, right? You're going to feel weird. You're going to feel like shit. And maybe sometimes those medications can make you feel worse if it's not the right medication for you. So perhaps he wasn't given the right medication, stopped taking it, and then his mental episode exacerbated and this happened. I mean, we just don't know. Right. 2 weeks is a long time though. I mean, usually it's like a 72-hour hold. If you don't have a plan in your head and you don't verbalize that you have a plan in your head to harm someone, if you're homicidal or suicidal, if you go to the hospital, whether it's against your will or you go there and take yourself there, what's going to happen? They're going to put you on a 72-hour hold or something similar, depending on what the case is, right? Whatever state you're in, whatever the laws are. 72-hour hold, usually. And if you don't have a plan, if you don't straight up say, hey, yeah, I'm going to go to the bowling alley and I'm going to go to the bar and I got this gun and I got tons of ammo in the car and I'm going to go do it right when I leave here. Or if you just say, I'm feeling down, I'm feeling depressed, they'll just give you a referral. They'll just give you a referral and have you follow up with a doc. But for him to be in there for 2 weeks is a long time nowadays. So maybe he was given a medication and kept for those 2 weeks because of that. Exactly, Elaine. It can sometimes take months for those to work. I mean, but what do you do? I mean, we don't have the facilities to house people in the mental hospitals, right? We don't have the money, the resources to do that. We just don't. I am so sorry, Candace Hardwick. Candace Hardwick said the female at the bowling alley who passed was a good friend of a lifelong family friend of mine. She's a wreck, as she has other friends and family there. I'm so sorry, Candace. I mean, if he didn't follow up with outpatient care, I mean, who's going to babysit these people? DC, you just read my mind. Jinx. Who's going to babysit these people? Diagnosis and meds, and they didn't pull his weapons. I don't know. Maybe these weren't his weapons. Maybe they were his family's. You know, maybe they were his family's guns that he got his hands on. We don't know. We don't know. They haven't told us anything. So I would assume, you know, since this is fluid, like everyone's liking to say, that it's fluid. They're talking to his family and trying to get some answers and trying to find out what was going on with this guy. But at any rate, we have the update. That is that. I'm going to sign off because I am going to be waiting anxiously for Kohberger's hearing today to come across. And as soon as I get it, I will go live. So make sure you are subscribed and you have clicked the notification for all notifications. And you will get that update when I go live with it. So we don't know how long it's going to be. We don't know if it's going to be an hour-long hearing. We don't know if it's going to be a 2-hour-long hearing, but we will go live as soon as we get it. So we can watch the Kohberger hearing. It probably won't even start until probably 4 o'clock Eastern. So don't hold your breath, but I will see you later this evening probably. It is probably when it'll be. So the first hearing for Kohberger is at 9:30 their time, 12:30 our time. I believe the other one is at 1 or 1:15, so that would make it 4 or 4:15 Eastern. And then you got to give them time to record it. You got to give them time to do the hearing, and then you got to give them time to upload the feed. So be patient. It'll probably be this evening. It'll be nighttime probably, now that I'm thinking about it more. But yeah, so stay with me. Make sure you're subscribed. Click for all notifications. I'll be live as soon as we get the feed. Thank you so much to the moderators. Thank you everyone who has donated and liked and followed on Facebook. You guys are awesome. We're going to roll the credits and say thank you to our YouTube subscribers and our donators today. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys later this evening. Bye. Have a great afternoon. Be sure to check out my other videos and playlists for more true crime content. And if that's not enough, you can join our Patreon. Don't have a tinfoil hat? It's okay. We'll make you one. It's that easy. See you guys in the next video.
See you later. Bye.
At least the lawyers.
I don't give a damn. I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn.
Brian Kohberger. I have to say to Ann Taylor, the defense lawyer, bring it on, woman.
God almighty. You wanna be with me. You wanna feel on the real, but I'm feeling differently. You're making plans to get to friends, but don't wanna face the fact got time, I ain't got time, I ain't got time for that. Staying up late, sleeping all day, dreaming about Cadillacs. My new shoes.
Diarrhea of the mouth. Going to the clinker, the big house.
Thanks so much, Jennifer.
Bye, Jennifer.
Listen.
No, you don't run the place.
Guess
yet.
what? I do today. I do today.